Welcome all and thank you for joining. I am Manish Puranik at Seva Tarang Foundation, Pune. Seva Tarang Foundation is a non-profit on a mission of enabling NGOs operations at every step with its range of back office services. To know more about Seva Tarang Foundation and its offerings, please visit our website www.sevatarang.org. Before moving on, let me put today's subject of pitch preparation in a context. As our topic of discussion is a specific project, we are not covering organization details in these sessions. We assume that your organization meets all due diligence requirements like all the administrative, legal, and financial compliances and is eligible for securing the project funding. If required, we can cover those topics in some other session at a different time. Moving on to today's topic of discussion, once you have designed your project by following all the steps of conceptualization, definition, documentation, and planning, it is time to put together your pitching material. Whatever you have conceptualized and documented needs to be taken to your potential funding partners in a convincing manner. You will need some useful tools to do that. In today's session, let us try and understand what it takes to put together good pitching material. The first thing you will do is define your approach. Let us start with why does anyone care about the problem you want to solve? Why it is important? Where is the gap? What is the scale? What are the contributing factors? What are the root causes? Where and how did you see an opportunity in it? So, why is it solvable? What would the world look like, your vision, if you solved it? What other approaches have been tried and what are their results or outcomes? That is about the previous attempts to solve the problem. What other approaches have been tried and what are their results? Next thing will be your logical framework approach, your LFA, to support your theory of change. Based on your understanding of the problem, what is your theory about which actions and resources will lead to the results you want to achieve? Assumptions of cause and effect in your logic chain. If the assumptions hold true and there are sufficient inputs, activities can start. If activities are undertaken, intended outputs will be created, leading to achieving the outcome. If the outcome is achieved, the intervention will have contributed to the overarching goal, that is the impact. Is your theory of change based on a research? Are there leaps of faith in the theory that you must defend? Is your theory focused on local or systemic change or both? Okay, you have a theory of change and LFA to support it in place. But how will you put it into action? Who are the beneficiaries of your intervention? What specifically does your program look like? How does it differ from what currently exists? What initial management and governance structure will you put in place to implement this strategy? What partnerships or collaborations would be critical or useful? On what premises, that is experience and knowledge, did you build your solution? Do you have a proof of concept? Have you tested your solution? So you have conceptualized it all, great. But how do you plan to manage the progress? Objectives to prove and improve. Systems for measurement and evaluation with indicators. Set and measure interim milestones on the way to long-term goals. System to update stakeholders of project about project status regularly. project management team composition. What expertise you don't have and how will you get those expertise? Now, last but not the least, the $1 million question. How much do you need and how would you spend it? How much funding support do you need for implementation? How do you plan to manage the indirect overhead costs? What are other sources of funding and their contribution? How would you track and report your fund utilization for the project implementation on a regular basis? How much value in terms of SROI will be generated? SROI is social return on investment. Provide percentage-wise breakup of all your project costs. You have defined your approach, all right. So it's time to collect some data that matters the most. The following are 20 key areas of the project you must focus on. Overview of the project. Consider this as the executive summary of the project that will describe the project in a nutshell without any minor details that will be added at a later stage. Financial details of the project. This will have the big picture of fund requirements of the project and their provision, including organizations' self-funded items like the shared services. Problem statement, the issue the project tries to address with its context and relevance. Solution statement, the intervention that will benefit the beneficiaries and its rationale. That is the rationale behind your solution. Outcomes of the project, tangible and measurable outcomes of the project activities. Verifiable evidence, proof of concept, either a case study or a project similar previous successful attempts. Success factors with assumptions. What will contribute to the success of the project and how will it contribute? Organizational capacity is the next. That is your strength in terms of project terms and financial stability. Target beneficiaries are the categories, sizes, and types and range of direct as well as indirect beneficiaries. Project planning is your project management plan, that is your strategy to implement the planned activities and their organization. Next is project management, operational plan, detailed process of project implementation with Gantt chart. Monitoring and supervision, M&A systems, their frameworks and processes. Recording and reporting, MIS, that is management information systems to collect the status and generate progress reports. Impact assessment methodology, mechanism to measure and analyze the project impact. Evaluation plan is your system for measuring and evaluating outcomes at predefined project stages, that is the milestones in the project. Project sustainability, that is exit strategy. What will happen once the project is completed and you hand over it to the beneficiaries or the community. Scaling roadmap, if successful, strategy to scale up the project by replication at other locations. Fund utilization, policy, plan, and practice of utilizing funds judiciously for making most of it. Co-branding, volunteering opportunities in the project. Any funder would like to leverage the branding opportunity in the project implementation and may like to involve in the implementation of the project by volunteering. So what are the options that project implementation offers to him or her? Feedback collection system is the last but not the least item. That is the system to collect and register feedback of all the stakeholders. It is very, very important to analyze the final outcomes of the project and stakeholders' opinions about it to check what went well and what went wrong to make appropriate amendments in the project design and implementation for the future. Once you have these 20 elements in place, you can move ahead with preparing your pitching material required at all stages of pitching. Consider the above as your syllabus. Now it's time to put your knowledge to test. Prepare a write-up by answering the following questions expressively. Although there is no single unified standard about the content of pitching material, a general convention suggests that the pitching material should address all the questions and concerns of the potential funding partner, like what is the social issue that your proposed project tries to address? How does that issue aligns with the SDG or CSR ESG compliances? SDG is Sustainable Development Goals, CSR is Corporate Social Responsibility, and ESG is Environmental Social Governance. How does the project objective serve the needs of the beneficiaries? The next question would be, if it is one of the many, how the proposed solution is the best alternative? Is this solution sustainable? If yes, how? Please elaborate. What are your credentials to undertake this project and deliver as proposed? This is again very important. You need to prove your eligibility as well as credibility. Have you thought of all the risks and what is your risk mitigation plan? This is again very important aspect of the project management. How do you plan to keep the funder assured of the envisaged impact? This is about your reporting the progress of the project periodically. What is your exit or handover strategy once the project objectives are met? How can the potential funder benefit from funding this project? Here are a few tips to answer the above questions that will ease your pressure of appearing for the exam, starting with the good news. There is no right or wrong answer. Whatever you say will be taken as truth, provided that you can produce the verifiable evidence to support your statement. There is no answer in one sentence or fill in the blank question. Be descriptive but succinct. The decision makers would like it to be concise. Also, the RFP formats and grant applications would have word limits, so it is better to practice keeping it to the point. There is no essay question, so avoid unnecessary creative liberty in imagination. Be specific and stick to only facts and figures supported by the data. As far as possible, avoid building on hypothesis and focus on data-driven scientific approach. In case you do not have any proof of concept, use relevant case study from the past to explain the gist of your project. Moving on to preparing pitching materials for your project, we will see all the materials in a sequential and logical order. However, all that material will need some base data for reference. That base data is your master content, which you will collect and organize as the first step of your pitch preparation. To make the master content interesting and engaging, develop infographics, for example, a process diagram to explain the progress, tables and numbers showing the facts and figures relevant to the project, images showing need, process, outcome, impact of the project. Remember the catchphrase, a picture is worth 1,000 words. Time to put it into practice. Collect images, prepare charts, tables, and create appropriate infographics. All of it will come in handy. Finally, the crux of the matter, a list of deliverables from all the master content. This is what the potential funder will be most interested in to take a decision. Keep in mind these basic components to build your pitch around and you would be good to go. Background, overview of the proposer and the issue that the project tries to address. Solution, applicability, feasibility, and context of the proposed solution. Proof of concept, a case study supporting the proposed solution. Plan, a structured approach with processes to deliver the project objectives. And finally, appeal, that is call to action, a reason, purpose for the funder to join hands and potential returns he or she can expect from the partnership. Pitching material should be developed by following 3 steps: collecting, analyzing, and articulating all the facts and figures relevant to project objectives, putting together a summarized concept note and a detailed project proposal for sharing as required, designing a presentation for the meetings to elaborate both the need and the impact of the project. Once you have collected and organized all your master content and put it together, you can move ahead with preparing basically 3 types of pitching material from it. Concept note, an idea fostering your theory of change behind proposing the project, a maximum 2 to 4 pages document with high level overview of all the above components. Pitching deck, an expressive yet succinct narration of what you intend to do, why you intend to do it, and how would you do it. It is a maximum 12 to 15 slides presentation with verifiable data in form of fact and figures with a proof of concept or a case study. And third is the project proposal, a structured document with charts, graphs, images, etc. as appropriate, detailed specifications including tangible deliverables, a detailed plan explaining the need, scope, cost, timeline, impact, and sustainability of whatever you are proposing. Presentations are powerful tools for communicating your messages, but those are the means and not the end of the pitching stage. Don't think of slides, think of a story. Everybody loves a story that is interesting, engaging, and more importantly, inviting to participate in and contribute to. Remember, your pitch is your first interaction and impression with your potential funder. So try to be as creative as possible without any unrealistic exaggeration in your presentations. Till now, we tried to understand the concept and philosophy of pitching material. Now let us try to apply the theory and see how to structure it. This is an indicative layout of the pitch with different components that can be customized as required. First page to have the executive summary with brief description of your organization, briefly summarize the project's key points, including the problem to be addressed, proposed solution, and expected outcomes of the activities that you are going to undertake under the project. Explain why the project is important and the impact it aims to achieve. Highlight any innovative aspects or unique selling points of the proposed project. Previous donors and brief history about the organization. Your page 2 will have project description that is divided in some sections. For the first section would be your problem statement. Explain the problem or need that your project tries to address. Provide relevant statistics and evidences to support the existence and significance of the problem. And clearly state the target population, that is beneficiaries of your project. In the next section, you will detail out project activities. Describe the activities and interventions to achieve the project objectives. Include a timeline or sequence of activities. Explain how each activity directly contributes to the objectives. How would these activities contribute to outputs, outcomes, and ultimately the impact? Third section of project description will talk about stakeholders and partnerships. Identify the key stakeholders of the project, partners and collaborators involved in the project. Explain their roles and contributions to the project. Highlight any existing partnerships, if any, and the potential for the new partnerships. In section 4 of project description, try to explain the sustainability aspect. Explain how the project will be sustained beyond the funding period. Discuss sustainability strategies, capacity building, or community ownership. Address any long-term impacts, how they will be monitored. Identify potential risks or challenges and propose mitigation measures to cover those challenges. In the third page, project objectives can be detailed with the specifics. List specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time bound, that is SMART objectives. Explain how each objective contributes to addressing the problem. Indicate the expected outcomes, impact of the project. Page 4, the last page of the concept note, will provide the project budget and the conclusion. Budget will have brief description of what your organization proposes to do with the funding. Provide a summary of the project's budget, including a breakdown of major expenses categories for funding being requested. Mention any in-kind contributions, matching funds, or other financial resources with funding resources for the project. Explain the rationale behind the budget allocation. Section 6, that is the final section of your concept note, will be the conclusion. So in the conclusion part, summarize the key points and the significance of your project. Reiterate its alignment with the organizational goals and the potential impact it intends to achieve. Include any other key points that you think necessary or significant in context of the project and proposed solution. Project proposal will have a similar structure to a concept note with more details like Gantt chart, list of deliverables, detailed budget breakup, etc. The pitching document should be submitted preferably in a PDF format using common font types like Arial, Calibri, Helvetica, or Times New Roman, and a minimum font size of 12. Let us see some guidelines for putting together pitching documents. Add a logo of your organization if applicable. Organization's name should be there in the proposal at the top. Date and time of submission is also very important. Don't forget to add the contact information, including everything, your contact details like physical address, email address, phone numbers. Provide a clear and concise and descriptive title to your project. Provide data, evidence, and references to support your claims. Use clear and concise language throughout the document. Ensure consistency in formatting, font, and styling. Be mindful of the word or page limits set by the application guidelines, if any. Review and edit the document for clarity and coherence before submission. Based on all the above, a standard project proposal having detailed specification of the need, scope, cost, timeline, impact, and sustainability with tangible deliverables should be developed and stored in a proposal bank for reference. Multiple versions of proposals customized according to the RFP requirements of various funding agencies can be prepared on an as and when required basis. The standard proposal serves as a reference and starting point for all the customized proposals of the future. Pitching deck is an expressive yet succinct narration of what you intend to do, why you intend to do it, and how would you do it. It is a maximum 12 to 15 slides presentation with verifiable data in form of facts and figures with proof of concept case study. Following are a few tips to put together an informative and interesting pitch deck. Less is more. Articulate crisp and succinct content for presentation in form of bullet points. A picture is worth 1,000 words. Create infographics to represent relevant facts and figures. Include appropriate images to make it engaging and convincing. Simple is good. Avoid jargons. Keep it easy, simple to understand, interpret, and act upon. Highlight achievements. Proof is in the pudding. It is easier to get a buy-in with a proof than a promise. Let us see an example of an effective 12-slide presentation. This is the title slide of the Education Support Program in 2021 by Educare organization. See how the problem statement with supporting statistics is presented in a succinct manner. Just the title. This slide also serves as relief to the viewer. Expressive articulation of vision, mission, and objective all in one statement. Clear and precise mention of activity to answer the question, what do we do? Building curiosity and invitation to learn more. See how the project is defined clearly without any ambiguity. Research-based theory of change. Proof of methodology in action. And all of it eventually leading to the envisaged impact. Achievements in numbers to support the theory. That's it. No need to say anything more. The ground for the detailed proposal is set. As we are approaching the concluding part of this session, let me summarize it for you. Pitching your project for fundraising is as good an art as it is a science. Pitching deck is not all that takes for successful pitching. The process of preparing your pitch ranges anywhere from weeks to months. And the process of actual pitching to formal approval of proposal can take anywhere from months to years. Just like a story that anyone would be enthused to listen to, the pitch must be interesting, engaging, and enticing. At the same time, it cannot be imaginary with fictional characters, but must be practical with a hypothesis supported by facts and figures. It takes scientific approach to develop a structure with outcomes that are tangible and measurable, as well as an artistic expression to narrate it in an exciting way to arouse and maintain the interest of the listener. Pitching for your project is much more than a pitching deck. Your project pitch should develop from an idea to plan to keep the funder informed and engaged on a progressive basis. Pitching your project for fundraising is not a day's activity. Keeping this in mind, start your pitching preparation with a structured approach. You will need data like numbers, indicators, charts, and graphs to support your case. But you will be basically narrating a story that must be engaging. To sum up today's session, we explored 20 key areas, 10 questions, 5 basic components, 4 tips, and 3 pitching instruments with 2 approaches to make your pitch appealing as well as convincing. Try to use all these guidelines to make an effective pitch. That is all for now in this session. Please use the chat box for typing your questions, suggestions, and feedback. Thank you very much for your time. Good luck and all the best.